This week's theme is the Snowboard Kids Guitar Medley, brought to us by the wonderful family Jules 7X. It's a part of his Year 2 complete collection of gaming remixes. There'll be a link to his website and this track in the description box below. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the End of the Week podcast, where every day is the end of the week. Hello and welcome to the 7th episode of the End of the Week podcast, where we take time out of your day to talk about games you don't care about. I think that's probably the most succinct description of what we do here on the podcast, and I don't know if I'm sad about that or if I'm happy about it.
And unsubscribe.
You can't unsubscribe. You work for the show. You can't do that. You can't leave. You can't have unsubscribe.
They don't pay me enough for this shit. I'm out.
We don't pay you at all, and you ain't gonna get paid.
I'm the only one making any money.
You paying me. That's what's going on here, because it would be a boring podcast if it was just me here talking to people. Look,
hi everybody.
The allure
this is a
of the voice
podcast,
goes
by the
away.
way.
It goes away. I promise you. But what's up, guys? Another wonderful week in gaming has passed, and we're here to talk to you guys about, well, I don't really need to introduce that. You guys know how it goes by now. We talk to you about the games we've been playing. It's been kind of an uneventful week for the most part in the gaming scene. I think the biggest thing that's gone on is the return of the Division beta. I really can't think of too much else that's happened over the course of the week. But overall, it's not a bad thing. The Division beta is pretty darn good. And I'm not the only one who gets to talk about it this week, because some other mans in the immediate vicinity managed to get their hands on it. So you guys know how we do things. We started off with the games that we've been playing over the course of the week, and I'm going to let you two start things out, because I'm probably just going to talk Division and Final Fantasy, and I don't know if that's any different for you guys. I guess we'll find out. What have you been playing?
You want to go first, John?
Well,
the
two games that I've been playing are the exact two games that Sean actually motioned to. I've been playing Final Fantasy most of the time, and I played the Division for all of Friday, and yeah, that's about it. I haven't really played anything else.
Alright, so Nate, since John and I have been playing the exact same thing, we're just going to conjoin our sections. What have you been playing? Because I know you got something nice and tasty the other day.
So, on top of the Final Fantasy and Division that you guys have been playing, because I've been playing with you, I also picked up Final Fantasy...
On the brain.
It's in there.
It's on the brain.
You can't leave it.
I'm looking at it on screen right now. I picked up Fire Emblem. The new Fire Emblem that just came out. Fates, which is both Conquest and Birthright. And I gotta say, it's really good. It's got a lot of... I'm playing the easy version, so I'm not getting that challenge that I like from Fire Emblem just yet. But I'm learning the mechanics, and they're all pretty sound.
Now,
like, for instance, your character, as spoilers, I guess, but I guess anybody who's played Smash Brothers knows this already. Your main character, Corrin, is a dragon, and so you can interact with spots on the map and activate your dragonic powers to influence the tide of battle. So, if you're in a desert, you can create a meadow so that your guys can walk across it without being slowed down, or create a bridge out of rocks or something. So there are actual things you can do on the map to tilt the tide of battle in your favor, I guess. So that's the big mechanic in this game.
All right,
and also, petting.
Yeah, no, there's no petting. You can't do that.
There's no petting. You can't do that.
You can't have waifu petting. You're not allowed to.
Perfect.
Perfect censorship. Yes. This is the work of a true genius. But so I was going to say, okay, I want you to be the Nintendo representative here. Sell me on this game, because even just the buying structure for it is kind of gosh darn ridiculous. There's 3 different versions of the game, but if you buy one version, you get the others as a reduced price DLC, and it's just market confusion for me right now. So what's up with that?
So here's what you do. You buy the version that you think you're going to enjoy the most, And regardless of which one you buy, you can choose to pick either the nation of Hoshido or Noir. And both have, like, you get some time with both sides before you have to decide. And I'm not going to spoil the reasons why. But once you pick a side, you're locked. Unless you erase your game data, you cannot switch sides.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't recruit very many people from the other side unless it's, like, story related. So you're stuck with your decision for a really long time. But if you beat the game and you'd like to try the other version, you can buy that on the eShop for $19.99 as opposed to the full, like, I don't know, what is it, like $40-something. And also they're going to be releasing a third campaign later down the line, which is kind of like a blend of both.
Yeah.
Kind of like your, like, Emerald version, if, like, for, like, a Pokemon analogy. But each version that you have has 3 save slots, and each time you buy another version you get an additional 3 save slots in case you like to rotate your saves. So that makes up for a total of 9 save slots, which is the other, I guess, perk of purchasing them.
Here's a question that I have. So do you have to start up, like, let's say you bought Birthright.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I did.
Okay, since you bought Birthright, if you bought Conquest, would you boot up Birthright and then Conquest would be in your cartridge as, like, or like your download as, like, a DLC option, like in your menu, or would you have to start up a whole new game file?
That's a good question, yeah.
You mean if you bought it separately? Like,
yeah,
if you bought both,
let's say,
if you bought both physical?
No. If you bought, like, Birthright and then you bought the Conquest DLC for $20, would you access Conquest through your Birthright like menu, or would you, like, open up a separate, like, game file? Like,
I believe you can only play one path at a time, if that's what you're asking. Like, you would beat the path, and then you would be prompted to select either another or redo the same path you have.
Okay, so you can access both campaigns within the same game then?
Yes.
Okay,
now,
that was my main, like, question. Can you
Yeah.
access both games within the same, like, can you access Conquest through Birthright? Or would you have to open up
yes,
Conquest
it
yourself?
would all be in the
Okay.
same. It would all be in the same game. Like, you'd boot up one and be able to select the other.
Yeah, I was going to say,
It's-
you'd have to do it like that because you can buy, again, like Nate said, if you buy Birthright, you can buy Conquest at a reduced price. There would have to be some way for you to launch that content. Mm-hmm. It's just a weird system. It's a weird system, and I'd imagine I'm probably not the only consumer out there who was a little bit confused by the purchasing structure. It seems like it's a pretty good deal. You buy one, you can get the other, which is pretty much a full-sized game at a reduced price, and then getting them both, unlocks further content in the future. But the system behind it just had me a little bit confused.
Mm-hmm. And technically there are 4 campaigns. You can play Birthright and Conquest for either side. So you can play for Noir or Hoshido in Birthright, or Noir and Hoshido for Conquest. So it's a really good bargain. Unlike Pokemon, where it's literally the exact same game, but with some remixed Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend it. I would start out with Birthright for anyone who wants to get, like, their feet wet and aren't quite sure whether or not they like Fire Emblem or even like this new game, because it's the most lenient. You can grind. You can revisit maps. There is an option to make it so that your allies, when they die, they just go back to your base, or they go to a slightly more difficult option where they're unusable for the next battle.
The baby options from Fire Emblem Awakening are still here.
Yes, it's definitely the most lenient. But if you pick Conquest, those options are gone, and there's a new, like, insane difficulty, where, like, all the enemies do, like, double damage or some nonsense.
Now, I am interested to hear that you can replay missions. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
no, go ahead.
It's something that I was wondering about because, of course, in the older Fire Emblem games, you couldn't replay missions. The only real areas that you could grind in were maps with coliseums, where you could just continually send in your people turn by turn by turn. And while it definitely, adds an element of grinding to the game, which older Fire Emblems really didn't allow for, I'm kind of glad to see that it came back in Awakening, and that, or rather, it was in Awakening, and it's coming back in Faith, because there are people like me out there who do want the challenge of classic Fire Emblem. Your guys die, they're gone. That's how I'm used to Fire Emblem. And I also want to be able to grind my characters up, because I love making super duper powerful characters, and it sounds like this game allows for that.
Well, what you would want to do then is play Birthright and play on the normal difficulty, which is all your characters can die. In Conquest, you cannot grind. There is no option to grind. You progress through the story linearly.
Really?
That is it.
So you can't replay missions on Conquest?
No, you cannot.
I guess so I guess
That's
Conquest is that
difficulty.
classic. It's the classic Fire Emblem option. Interesting.
So,
Good, yes.
and they're both the same price, so like it's just pick whichever one you like, which I think is extremely appealing. Like, there are people who see all of these options and think like, Fire Emblem's becoming too casual. Like, it's gross now. Like, with all the dating stuff and the easy grinding and the whatnot, and your allies not dying, that's too easy for me. I'm out. But they don't have to feel that way because they can just play Conquest.
It really is an incredible bargain, I mean, like I said, I was confused a little bit about the market structure because I didn't know what I was supposed to buy and what I'm not supposed to buy. But it really is a pretty darn good deal when you just sit back and take a look at it. And for the people, who think, my Fire Emblem's no longer hardcore. No, those hardcore options are still there for you. And it's just opening up a little bit more for a more casual, streamlined audience. And as long as it's keeping that core Fire Emblem gameplay and the core Fire Emblem difficulty in some manner, I don't see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with them opening it up at all.
I don't either. Unfortunately, this game seems destined to be disliked because of the whole censorship bullcrap. I don't know. Like, so for people who don't understand what we're talking about, in the Japanese version of the game, there's like a dating mini game. Like, it's in the American version too. You put your allies together in combat, and they come back and they're like, oh, I guess we're friends now. But when you go back to your base, you have the option of meeting up with them in your room, in which case the game displays an HD version of that character model, but they're like staring at you and blushing and like fidgeting about. And in the Japanese version, you can like poke them or like pet them to like get more friendship points out of them. And it was a bit pervy, so Nintendo took it out in the American version. So of course the censorship police had to run in and we want it back in the game. Don't censor us, Nintendo. We can handle it. So,
which, I mean, granted, I can understand. You're buying the same game as the Japanese crowd, except it has less content. It has I looked at somebody who took the Japanese game and the English game and listed out all the changes, and it's like there's half the amount of dialogue in the English one. There's half the amount of voice acting. There's of course, the cut content like the petting minigame and a couple of other things. And I can, from a consumer standpoint, I can understand why you'd say, well, I'm buying this supposedly the same game as the Japanese. Why can't I have all the content that was meant for the game? I'm not going to sit back and whine and cry because a petting minigame isn't in there, but I can understand why people would be upset about it. And to that, now they have to just buy a Japanese version, which unfortunately they can't do for their normal 3DS, which is also another problem. Region locking doesn't need to be a thing on consoles, which is a whole other argument.
I wholly agree with you for like the cut dialogue, because the dialogue in this is a little not it's not bad. Like it's still like quality writing and the story is neat, but I mentioned this to you guys the other day, but the story is very Deus Ex Machina in that, like, you just, like, walk into a town, and then, like, a thing happens, and then another thing happens, and they all just happen to all take place, like, right in front of you, and, like, there's a point where your character is whisked away to another dimension by a dragon, and that's your, like, home base, and she's just like, wow, where are we? And the dragon's like, we're in this place, and she's like, oh, okay. Oh, my character's female, by the way. You can play as a male or a female. Yeah,
it's same as with Fire Emblem Awakening.
Right.
And Sacred Stones.
So the writing is a little iffy, but, like, it's mostly quality stuff. And I would like to think that Nintendo just trimmed the fat, but they probably didn't. They took out all the stuff that they felt was going to be controversial in North America. And truth be told, we proved them right. because the second they took that content out, it was, as soon as it was made, like, aware of it, that's all anybody talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's true that they should have left that content in, but I don't blame them for taking it out either.
Yeah, I think that's about the same as I feel about it. But overall, you enjoying it?
I am enjoying the heck out of it, and I plan on getting Conquest, and I can't wait for it to kick my ass.
Rest in peace to your future Fire Emblem career.
Yeah. I die in training, so...
Rip. Rip, Nate.
So did you guys want to talk a little bit about The Division or Final Fantasy?
You want to get the
we move
Final
on?
Fantasy out of the way, John?
Well, you're just going to call me a scum for like 5 minutes, so might
Look,
as well.
I'll save that for after the podcast, you filthy, disgusting scum.
I did not know you were at Snow Club. Don't make...
Look, people, I have
Salt.
been grinding out. I've been grinding out on Final Fantasy for the longest time. I got super far ahead, got near Heavensward, which is the expansion that came out last year. And then when we all decided to get back into the game, I was like, oh, okay, that's great. I'm going to farm and get these men up to where I am. I'm not going to progress in the story at all. I'm going to help them. I'm going to help Nate get his main story quest done. Then I'm going to help John and Nate catch up to where I am. And then we're all going to head into Heavensward together. So, that goes fine. We get up to, we get Nate through his story. We get through some of the post-story mode stuff. And yesterday, we're just grinding out some of the advanced level primals. Like, we're doing Leviathan, we're doing Ramu, and we're working our way up to Shiva, which is where Gen X100 and myself are, and where we've been waiting. We haven't progressed.
Wait,
we
you're
wanna
at
get these
Shiva?
men's up. Well, we're at Snowcloak, which is right before Shiva.
Okay. Well, I'm at Shiva, so I will wait for you.
Uh-huh.
Unless Dan just wants to get Shiva done and get his tombstones, because I know that's what he wants to do. He wants extra tombstones.
I spent this past month grinding these men up to catch them up to where I am. And we're supposed to progress forward from there, a dungeon called Snowcloak. We're supposed to progress forward from there together, off into Heavensward, where we're going to have an entirely new adventure. And what does this scum right here do? I get this man up through Leviathan, up through Ramu, and then he just does Snowcloak by himself and moves his way onto Shiva, leaving me, Nate, and Jin behind. What do you have to say for yourself in this court of law?
All right, these are the exact words that came out of Sean's mouth. It was, you should be pretty close to Snowcloak, right? And I didn't know like the context of what he meant. I was like, okay, I guess I'm close to Snowcloak. I guess that's kind of near where Sean is, but I didn't know for a fact. I didn't get a confirmation. But now I realize that I was a scum. And I ran Snowcloak even though I was trying to get up to where Sean was, because I was under the impression that he was way further ahead of where I was. I honestly thought you were at least like 20 more quests ahead of me.
I told this man for the longest time I was sitting at Snowcloak. Jay and I got to Snowcloak, and that's where we stopped to grind these men up. And he left us behind. But it's okay, because we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get Nate up to Snowcloak, and we're going to wait for him, and then we're going to pull him along and catch up to you now at Shiva. It's good, though. But we, for the most part, had a pretty good time on Final Fantasy XIV. We finally got Nate up to 50, got him through his story missions, and now we're starting to run dungeons. And you enjoying it? I assume so, with how many hours you put on it over the past month.
Yes.
Yes, that's a...
Yes.
Yes. Oh, banana. But, yeah, I'm pulling out the Donkey Kong 64. But, you started leveling crafting. You got, did you get Carpenter? Yeah, you got Carpenter up to 50, right?
Right.
And then you started leveling, what was it after that you went into?
Goldsmith for like 20-something levels.
Mm-hmm. You're good, man.
Wait.
And for the most part, you're sticking with Monk as your main disciple of war class. Right. And are you going to stick with that for Heavensward, or are you going to jump into something else?
I like to punch stuff.
Especially now that Dan taught you the stances and whatnot.
Exactly. Like it's been 2 years since I've actually like monked. So when I came back about 2 weeks ago, like to the game, and I just threw out my like combos, I had a buddy of ours, Dan, saying, "Man, John, you're dropping your combos," and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just throwing out moves. And he was like, do this, 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 this. And in like 30 seconds, I learned more on how to monk than I've been like, than I did in like 2 years. I'm like,
On how to monk. Yeah, and you pretty much doubled your DPS output. That was good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
You ready? You ready, fam? Also, Nate, I don't feel bad about addressing this on the podcast. You're fine, dude. It's okay. You don't need to feel bad. It's good. You're all right. It's gonna be all right, buddy. You're gonna be okay. But yeah. So you're getting the hang of that monk there. You're getting that DPS out. I'm rocking Paladin right now. I'm level 53. I'm probably gonna go ahead and take that up to 60. And then jump over to Dark Knight to see just what the fuss is up with that.
You want those cross-class skills and glowing swords, don't you, Squidward?
Look, I almost have my glowing sword. I almost have it. I'm doing the 2.0 relic. I'm finished with my shield. I can take that up to Anima where it gets like a little nova around it. I got to do 7 more books for my freaking sword, but which actually I might be able to get all that done today if we bum rush dungeons. But there's so much to do in Final Fantasy XIV, and we're hyped and like super psyched about getting into Heavensward. Heavensward came out like 7 months ago. It's like 7-month-old content, and we have a brand new patch coming out this week on the 23rd that's going to add a whole bunch of new content that we're going to have to work towards. There's so much to do in Final Fantasy XIV, and so many big changes coming to it, and oh my gosh, I love it. I'm happy I dove back into the pool. I had been trying to keep away from my fix for a long time, and it's well worth $15 a month for me. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yes. For those of you guys out there who don't know, in Final Fantasy XIV, Heavensward is the big expansion. You can't play it until you've gone through all of the initial story up to 2.5, which is a very, very, very long series of quests, especially if you're it's hundreds, especially if you're jumping from 1 to 50. And something you said the other day that I absolutely agree with is that the beginning areas from 1 to 50, they should be just throwing EXP at you to get you to 50 as fast as possible. And then things should grind out once you get from 50 up to 60. And that's something I absolutely agree with because, look, we've all been through the story, Nate. There are way too many fetch quests. The grind is way too long. We all did it, but that doesn't mean that, it's a great system. Now, most MMOs are like that, but Final Fantasy, it seems especially bad when it comes to just deliveries and fetch quests, especially once you hit 50. Like, a good majority of the quests that you do are fetch quests. And I really think, with this game being out for as long as it has been, I think it's about time they offered an instant jump to 50 option. There's a lot of meaningless fluff in between the big content, and I definitely agree that it can be a real drag, and like all of the stuff you've done up till now, Heavensward is pretty much just as big, if not a little bit bigger than the base game. So there are a lot of it's really incredible stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that we're gonna have to do once we get to it. It's like we finished half the game and the other half is just starting up. And like I said, we're gonna get to Heavensward, and then the big patch drops next week, and it's a bunch of other content that we're gonna have to work our way towards. And hey, at least my Paladin is getting DPS. Hallelujah! I can deal damage. I mean, I don't know enough about the changes to really make any argument about it. All I know is just that a lot of classes are getting buffed. Paladin being one of them. We get our Enmity, which is our aggro generation up. Yeah, stop stealing my aggro DPS. We get our DPS up so we can actually deal some damage. And they're making some changes to the vitality and strength stats so that vitality is basically something you're going to want more on your tank, since a lot of people would just roll for pure strength so they could deal as much damage as possible. It's going to be some good stuff coming up, though. Going to be some good stuff. Thinking about rolling another DPS character. Maybe after I get my Black Mage up to 60, I might do... I like blowing stuff up. Black Mage is literally the class that just blows stuff up. Maybe not as effectively as Summoner or Bard, but, I get to flare things every once in a while, and flare is cool. I might maybe roll a Dragoon at some point in time in the future, or maybe a Ninja. I don't know, we'll see. It's fun stuff, though. John, once you get your Monkman to 60, are you gonna Try rolling another character?
I kind of want to play Warrior.
I told you, man, if because you were a warrior on the on another server, right?
Right, yeah.
It's pretty much the most DPS heavy tank class. It's really fun, really self-sufficient. You've got
I
a
don't
lot of
know.
self
Paladin may get enough buffs to like at least somewhat match it.
The buffs that Paladin is getting, it's not going to be enough to match warrior DPS. It's more like enough to match Dark Knight DPS.
It's more like enmity and potency buffs.
Yeah, it's a lot of enmity potency buffs. Our DPS stance is getting a bit of a buff so that we can push out damage to really equal Dark Knights. But warriors right now are just so super freaking powerful. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they can self-heal off of so many things is it's really great.
Plus, they're going to generate more enmity in 3.2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hopefully not, but hey, we're still invulnerable as paladins, so that's a thing.
You guys are just tanks. Like you guys just don't die.
You literally can't kill me, so that's nice. That's cool. You just don't take scratches from anything. And you know, I was leveling a Marauder too. I'm probably going to get to that at some point in time soon with one of the changes that's coming next week. We got that party roulette. Yeah, you can do your dailies with a party. Such a good change. That really should have been added in a long time ago because running the dailies can sometimes be an absolute nightmare with the random parties that you get into. So now you can run that with friends. Hallelujah. Thank you. I'll take that all day. Oh, man, but I don't want to get too lost in the Eorzea topic. We've just got Heavensward coming up soon. We're about to hit that, and we've got patch 3.2 coming, which is going to bring a bunch of new stuff. But alright, that's enough about Final Fantasy XIV. What do you guys say we take a little bit of a break and come back and wrap this thing up with a big discussion about the Division?
Yeah.
Yee. That's one yee, that's two yee. We got three yees. Alright, we're going on break. We will be right back with the 7th episode of the EOTW podcast. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to the 7th episode of the End of the Week podcast. We're coming back from a break here, and this second half of the show, we usually discuss gaming news, but there really wasn't too much of anything going on this week. Last time we discussed, game trailers going down, the Activision earnings report, but there was really nothing going on. So this second half of the show, we're pretty much going to be discussing one thing that we've all been playing over the past day or so, and that is the Division Beta. Oh, yes. You guys know I love that thing, but I finally got John to download it and experience it. He was trying to keep himself fresh and ready for the game when it first came out, but I convinced him that, maybe he should get a little bit of a taste for it so he knows what he's in store for. And we dragged Nate along for the ride. So, what did you guys
make it sound like I didn't want to play.
Well, you got shot a lot. And we had
I did get shot a lot.
We had to sell that in a positive way. Like, Nate, you're going to get shot a lot, but there's loot.
Beautiful loot.
I can't remember if we talked about it on the podcast or not, but I had said how I didn't think I was going to like one of the game's main mechanics, which is the Dark Zone, because I don't like the idea of losing all of my stuff, but it was easily the best part of the experience for me.
And I think a lot of people would agree with that. The Dark Zone, I've got some issues with the beta, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the Dark Zone is really a shining point of the game, because I'm just like you. I'm quite a bit trepidatious about going into a PvP zone like that, where literally anybody can kill and grief you and just take the stuff that you've gathered in there. That makes me uneasy. But I really find the Dark Zone to be some of the most fun I've had in the game, period. John, what did you think of the Division beta?
Not enough content for a beta. I think Destiny had more content because it actually had like maps and game modes and all this. But as far as it it worked in principle, definitely. The Division beta is probably one of the better like experiences I've had in a shooter, at least in the past 6 months, because we both know, Sean, that Destiny is dry, to say the least. I mean,
it's lackluster right now. That's fair to say.
Putting it very, very lightly. And COD is a whole other beast that, I mean, it's got DLC, but the DLC's kind of bad. But so to come into a third-person shooter, which I personally have not played a third-person shooter probably since Uncharted 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a minute for me to get used to the third-person aspect of the game. But once I got used to all the point of view, someone over my words so much right now. But it has the gunplay to make it a great game, and even though it's a RPG first, the shooter aspects do not fall short whatsoever.
No, not at all.
And I love the fact that it is an RPG first, because it allows you to become immersed in your character in depth a lot more than these other looter shooters that are on the market. You have skill trees, and I mean, it kind of takes me back to Borderlands, because Borderlands, you had so many like skill trees, so many things to choose from. And this reminds me a lot of that. It reminds me a lot of those core RPG elements. But rather than there being classes and such, you can just make your own, which, you know, in the beta, it's very, there's not too many choices that you can make. A lot of it's locked behind, you know, a beta wall. But what I got to experience using those limited skills was pretty promising. And I got to experiment with tons of builds, healing pole, sticky bombs, turrets especially. Turrets are good in PvE, but they will get you screwed in the dark zone.
They'll get you in trouble, man, because sometimes turret he just has no brakes. He's got no chill. He'll just turn at some other player and be like, "Hey, yo, you," and suddenly you're a rogue.
Yep. And
if people walk in front of it like dummies, which happens all the time.
Yeah. Or if the turret's shooting at you and you're like, "Oh god, a turret!" and you just start shooting it because you think it's an enemy turret. Because I think there's one area in the dark zone where there is a guy who uses turrets, and let's say you shoot your friend's turret, you will go rogue. Well, not your friend's turret, but if you shoot some like random's turret, you'll go rogue for shooting the other player's turret. Which I'm not sure if that should stay in the base game, but
I don't think it should.
That's kind of dumb.
Because that caught us off guard when we were fighting off a group of rogues. We took them out, and one of the guys who was with us threw down a turret, and one of us walked in front of it and was like, got hit by it, and we turned over and fired at the turret, and like immediately our entire fire team got marked as rogues, so we had to dip.
We had to book it into the subway. We had to go, run!
It's just a misunderstanding!
Well, there was also that part on the roof where somebody threw down a turret and tagged like everybody by mistake, and we all had to make the conscious decision of like, okay, we understand it was a misunderstanding. Let's just everybody chill, okay?
Yeah, you know, there's so many points like that, which, you know, it's a benefit to the dark zone, and it's kind of a detriment because you accidentally go rogue all the time. Remember Friday, John? We were sitting at
when
an extraction
you tried
point.
to shoot a PvE guy and you actually shot a guy with your sniper.
There was some PvE target. He was sniping on a roof trying to hit us. And it wasn't another player, it was an NPC. So I take out my sniper rifle, I pull it up on the NPC's head, I fire, and another player who had crawled to the roof, I guess, trying to get that guy, literally walks in front of my shot, gets hit in the dome piece. We all immediately get marked as rogues in the middle of an extraction point, surrounded by other players. And I think you were in the middle of extracting something, and like, as soon as that shot hit the other player, we all get marked as rogues. Everybody's like, huh? Turn it at you. I booked it. I left you.
I got bodied.
It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. And those kinds of situations happen all over the place. And a lot of the time when you do recognize it as an accident, as somebody not actually meaning to go rogue, you do have to make the conscious decision. Do I just kill them and take the bounty on their head? Or do I let them go because I know they didn't mean to do that. And I don't know if Ubisoft needs to do something with their system so that you don't go rogue quite so easily. They're kind of on a balancing wire with that, because in the closed beta, you had to deal 60% of a target's health, of another player's health, before you went rogue. So what people would do to kind of bait you, they would come up, they would shoot you once or twice so that their name goes red, but they haven't gone rogue yet. And if you retaliate and kill someone before they've actually gone rogue while their name is just red, you get marked as a rogue. They don't. So what people would do is they would come up, shoot you just a little bit above 60% health to try to get a reaction out of you so that you'd fire on them, immediately go rogue, and they could just kill you and collect a bounty on you. And so it looks like Ubisoft changed it so that you, if you deal any damage to other players, you just get marked as a rogue. And that's a good thing because it prevents, some of the trolling and griefing, but it's a bad thing because accidents happen all the time. And I don't know if I love it or if I hate it.
I'm kind of like in between, because I found some of the best moments were when, okay, so there was a part where we were at a cross section and you, John, and I were trying to extract our stuff, and 6 other guys showed up.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And you guys were like, nope, they are going to surround us and kill us the second the helicopter shows up. And they're all doing jumping jacks and they're all saluting and they're all trying to say no, we're not going to kill you. And we just sat back and forth. Well, eventually the NPCs came in. And so that was when everybody showed their true colors, and we all fought to fight off the NPCs, and everybody got their stuff out. We did 2 runs. Yeah, it
goes. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's moments like that where people redeem themselves. That is the most appealing to me, because they, like you said, they could have just killed us and taken all our stuff.
They could have tried.
And
like I say, it makes the game. The tension you feel in the Dark Zone when you come upon a group of other players. You don't know if they're going to kill you and try to steal your stuff, or you don't know if they're friendly and they're just trying to get their own stuff extracted. There were other times when we were in there and we would come across a lone player in the middle of the street. We'd look at him, he'd look at us, we'd say, he's by himself, he's probably fine, walk right past him, and the moment we had our backs turned to him, he would open fire on us. Now, we body bagged him because there's 3 of us and 1 of him, but you never know what other people are going to do, and it's such an alluring part of the game because the feeling of tension when you have 6 items on your back and other players can see your backpack, they know you have something. They don't know what it is, but they know you have something from the Dark Zone. And that moment of just almost pure dread you get when you're like, all right, I've got stuff, I've got to extract it. And you fire up that flare, because the moment that flare goes up, every other player in the Dark Zone knows where you are. They can all see that the extraction point that you're at has gone live. So you don't know if people are going to come for you. You don't know if people are going to come to try to extract their own things, or if they're going to come to try to kill you and take whatever you've got. And it's just really makes the game for me, and it's a great experience. It's just absolutely fantastic. I love it.
What I like is you come out of that game with stories.
Yeah.
There was a part where we were just walking down the middle of the street collecting stuff. I think we had just finished off a group of NPCs. And then all of a sudden, 4 dots show up. 4 red dots. And we're like, well, this isn't good. And then they start searching for us. And we're like, oh, shit.
Throwing up the pings.
So you throw up a scrambler, and we quick duck into a safe house. And we're stuck huddled in this safe house for a few minutes, watching the dots go by, watching the friendlies blip off the map. And they get closer, and they get closer. And then they turn around and leave, and we book it out of that place. It was it felt like a movie. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. The tension building in this game, it's just absolutely fantastic. And I can't really think of any other game out there right now that provides that same sort of experience. Can you? Other than maybe something like, it seems like maybe the same sort of concept that games like Rust and DayZ try to get.
I feel like this was how they wanted the Last of Us multiplayer to feel. But they settled on a Uncharted, shooter, like
basic
deathmatch.
Kill the other team stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Dark Zone, John?
I think it's where people's true colors come out. I think it's a big way to either betray someone and take their stuff. I don't like it, but I feel like it's a necessary evil kind of. Like, to put the most exotic loot, no pun intended, behind a PvP area is smart in a sense, because you can make it so players have to work together to get the stuff that they want, but it also provides an avenue for players to stab each other in the back and just take what they want. And I like it in like the friendly sense, but I hate it in just like people are dicks, man. Like
they are needlessly dicks.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, we had a really good time, but we also weren't griefed really hard.
No, we weren't, which was surprising. We got into a good instance.
I'll let you know the reason behind that is because we were in a group. I guarantee you some of those people we came across were like, hey, let's take those guys out. But then they saw that we were all together, because a 3-man group is pretty rough to take down, especially when you've got heal pulses and stuff to scramble enemies' radars. And we went in there ready. John had his turret on hand. I had my scrambler. I had my sticky bomb and all of that stuff. So I guarantee you it's because we weren't lone wolfing it. If any one of us had gone in there by ourselves,
Bodied.
stuff probably would have gone down. And just to add on to something you said, John, you can actually get the high-end weapons in PvE. So for anybody listening, you can get legendaries and high-ends in PvE. It's just easier and faster to get them in PvP. It really gives you an incentive to go into the Dark Zone. And there's vendors in there. There's a safe house which sells high-end, which are basically exotic weapons. There's some really good loot in there. And it's a great experience. It went from something I thought was going to be something I never did on the game. I thought I was just going to love the PvE and stick in that, to being really my favorite part of the Division. I love going into the Dark Zone and just going in to hunt down NPCs, or going in to hunt down a group of rogues who's griefing other players and take their stuff and build up some Dark Zone funds off them. It's a great experience. It really is. I think the beta has really been a good time. And if anything, my biggest complaint about it is the same as what my complaint for the closed beta was. The PvE section is definitely lacking in content. You can tell they wanted you to complete the first 2 missions and go straight to the Dark Zone. That's all they wanted you to do. Because there's there's only 2 big missions, which are kind of like dungeons, and then the rest are just these little side missions that respawn every so often around the map, that while are nice and show you around the world and are aesthetically pleasing, aren't really that substantial. Like, at all. So hopefully that's not going to be a problem in the full game. I want the game, when it comes out, to have more than enough PvE content for people who only like PvE to enjoy. I don't want you to have to go in the Dark Zone to be able to get good stuff. And if Ubisoft can manage that...
I also hope that they remove the requirement of you being a certain level to buy a piece of gear. Like, in like the Dark Zone, for you to buy purples and blues off of vendors, you had to be Dark Zone rank 8 at the very least, and be PvE rank 8. I wish that if you had the funds, you can buy that, just keep it in your backpack, and then when you hit that level, you can just go ahead and
use it.
Yeah, you can go ahead and use it. But
I never understood
But you're locked
that.
behind it. You're locked behind those level recs. And I don't see why it's a thing. You know, you should just be able to buy the weapon, keep it in your backpack, and when you get there, put it on.
That's a problem, because those items rotate out. So if you're not at the level you need to be, and then you see a really good item, you're out of luck.
Too bad. And
until it rotates back in, yeah.
I definitely didn't understand why you had to be a certain level just to buy an item. I mean, you can pick up weapons and armor that is beyond your level. Why can't you buy weapon and armors that are beyond your level and then just equip them when you're the right level? Hopefully that's something Ubisoft takes into account for the full game, because it's definitely frustrating to go in there and see a vendor, again, with a rotating stock, and he's like, oh, he's got a classic RPK legendary. This is perfect for me, but I can't use it until I'm Dark Zone level 10. Well, I'm level 9 right now, but there's only 2 hours left on the restock for him. Am I going to be able to get to level 10 before that happens? Which, yes, you level up very quickly in the game, but I'd like to be able to buy it and then just use it whenever I hit that level. So absolutely, John, I agree with that 150%.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else with the Division beta you guys wanted to talk about?
I mean, just beyond, like, the game feels good.
It's a day one purchase.
The guns feel good. Yeah, it is a day one purchase, absolutely. Like, as soon as I get paid, I'm buying or pre-ordering the gold edition.
That's what I did.
But yeah, like for a lot of games like this, like they sometimes, I don't know, like they don't always get the shooter part right. But this felt phenomenal to fire a gun in.
Yeah, it's very realistic. It's I don't think the shooting in the game is the best, but it's definitely serviceable. Most guns have a pretty good feel to them. You guys heard me make this joke on stream, but just use submachine guns. Look, if you're having trouble with the assault rifle kick, just use subs. They have like no recoil. It's great. And I think really the cover system in this game is fantastic. It is, of course, pulled right from other games like Ghost Recon and Splinter Cell, but that's a good thing because the cover system in those games was great.
I found it a little too clingy.
You think so?
Just a tad. Like, there were definitely times where, like, I'd just be walking around and it's like, I want to dodge roll, but I stuck to the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had that happen to me a couple times, too. But, it's definitely a cover shooter. You don't want to be out in the open because you get melted. You get absolutely melted by NPCs in this game. But overall, Division. I had fun with the beta. I had fun with the beta last time, and I had fun with it this time. And this has really gone from a game that wasn't on my radar too much to something I'm probably going to buy on day one.
You will.
Yeah, I'm probably going to buy it on day one. I've had too much fun with it.
You need to get that gold edition.
What comes with the gold?
All of the DLC that's playing it. It's like the Destiny expansion.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Maybe I'll go ahead and get that.
You will.
We'll see.
I will pressure you into it. Jay and I will literally shake you until you buy the
pressure
thing.
Purchase. It's that peer pressure.
Also, I want to say the cleaners are some of the most fun I've had with fighting enemies in any game ever. You shoot that tank on their back and you're just like, boom! Damn, I'm good.
Wow.
It's pretty. It's boom. Really pretty.
Yeah.
To watch another human being go up in glorious flame.
I like how the other NPCs like to collect around him, like, hey, can we help? Bang!
It's like, yes, you can help. Stand right there. That's great. Perfect. Oh, man. But all right. I think those are pretty much our general thoughts on the Division. Anything else you guys like to say?
I want to see more bosses. Like that big guy with the flamethrower. Mm-hmm. I want to see more bosses like that. I want to fight Metal Gears.
The full game will have that. That was again the big problem with the beta. Not enough to do in PvE. Not enough.
I want shotguns and not be booty butt.
Yeah.
I found a Saiga, so there's not just double barreled. I found a Saiga. I couldn't pick it up.
I found one too.
It's there. So maybe the full game will have some better shotguns for you because I didn't have a great experience with it.
Increase the reload speed on the double barrel because I want it.
It's like 2 years. You got 2 years. And this man is a Black Ops 1 Olympia fan. So he needs that fast mag.
I need it.
It's necessary. But all right, that's pretty much going to be it for things here. Because, again, not too much going on in news. So we just wanted to dedicate this second part of the podcast to the Division since we all had a good chance to play that. But all right, thanks so much for listening to the 7th episode of the End of the Week podcast. Before we sign things out, we do, of course, go around the table and let you know where you can find us on the internet and what we've got coming up. Although I think I'm the only person who ever actually answers that second question. Oh, John, what have you got coming up this week, man?
Deadlines for school. That's about it.
Big. Didn't you just Wait, no. You had some weirdness going on in Final Fantasy. You need to upload that.
Oh, that part where I planked on a rock because I got stunned by a snake? Yeah.
Yes.
I need to upload that.
Do it. Where can they find it? Go.
On YouTube/BlackFox. Yeah.
You can go and find other weird glitch videos for things that shouldn't have happened, but did anyway. Nate, what about you? What you got coming up, buddy?
Nothing. But if you'd like, you can reach out to me on Twitter at NathanDonhue@twitter.com. And
send him questions for the podcast
at Twitter.
Yes, send him questions for the podcast so that he may answer them, and I may ignore them because that's his job.
Yeah, that was going to be my job, and nobody tweets to us.
They send it to me on YouTube, and it's like, all right, guys, okay. But anyways, you guys know where to find me. Wait, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say I'll keep a better eye out on the YouTube comments.
But you guys know where to find me. I am everywhere on the internet at TheBlackLink. You can find me on Twitter at TheBlackLink, and of course on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/TheBlackLink. I think this week we've got a couple more Division videos, and like I had a Destiny Crucible gameplay, but I don't know what commentary I'm gonna put to it because there's nothing to talk about with Destiny right now. Weekly update was a bit of a flub, nothing really big in there, so
You can talk about their armory.
oh yeah, 330 light items. There, commentary completed.
Got it.
We done. We good. We ahead of the schedule now. But all right, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We are, of course, if you'd like to see the different places where we upload this podcast, it is on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Check it out in all of the places for all of your listening needs. I'm working on trying to get it up on Stitcher, too, because people keep asking me for Stitcher and other streaming websites. Thankfully, as long as you have an RSS feed, it's pretty easy to port podcasts. And I'm thankful for that. But all right, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you for listening to the End of the Week podcast, where every day is the end of the week. We'll catch you guys in the next one. And
Take care.
We're going back to Final Fantasy.
Yeet.
Good
I
night,
got a date with
everybody.
Maxio.
We got a date with Shiva, actually. And she is my girl. Goodbye, guys.